Those of the program host and guest and not WSTU. WSTU does not endorse any products mentioned. Any reproduction or retransmission of this broadcast is strictly prohibited without written consent of WSTU.
The Treasure Coast longest-running local talk radio show is on the air. The Treasure Coast Forum. Get interested, get educated, get involved, and give us a call with your opinions at 220-9788. And here's your host of the Treasure Coast Forum.
Hello, happy Thursday. It is your favorite host who is back again. I'm Nono, and I'm here in the studio with...
Hello, I'm John.
Wait a minute.
Uh-oh.
There you go. Try it again.
Go ahead. Say your name again.
Hello, I'm John.
And...
Hello, I'm Rachel.
And...
I'm Jamie.
And...
Yeah, I'm Frank.
Yes, we got the full house today.
Mhm.
And it's so good to be back. As you all know, I was on a little hiatus because my school was putting on the performance of West Side Story, where I got to play the snarky and sassy Anita in the show, who's Bernardo's girlfriend. And Mr. Frank in the studio today was asking me how'd that go. So I'll let everybody here know my performance was so well that we did an in-school show and then we did a Friday night school.
Right.
So the in-school show, my acting was so well, along with the other boys that were with me, because there's this one scene that brings out a lot of emotion, especially where Anita is being, well, originally she was supposed to be raped in the original West Side Story, but the school edition makes it to where she's being pushed around, assaulted by the white boys.
Got it.
So there's a part where we had rehearsed that my friend, he grabs me and shoves me to the ground as soon as the music stops at a certain cue.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what we performed.
Mm-hmm.
And I was so integrated into the moment and everything had gone so perfectly. And then the show ended. So then I go out into the crowd so I can wave goodbye to all the students, and they were like freshmen. And what I hear is that my choir teacher comes up to me. She said, "Your acting was so amazing that you caused a group of Black students to stand up and yell Black power." And I said, "What?" And then my little sister actually goes around. She shows me all these Snapchats of people saying love a Black woman from infinity to infinity, saying, "Oh, we don't do that here." Seeing that I was the only like dark-skinned cast member in this show. And I was like, wow. And there was just such a good reception. And then I remember talking about earlier how I was having the issue of being too Caribbean to be Hispanic, right?
Right.
Well, I'll let you know, my co-star, well, actually the main character of the whole entire play, Miss Maria in West Side Story, she had her Cuban family come and see the play that Friday
and they
night.
coached you, right?
No, they actually, so she told me, she said, "Your Spanish better be good tonight," because they are big haters of what they call the no sabos. I don't know that. I think it's like the Spanish kids who grew up without the Spanish culture and they don't know the language and things like that. So she was like, you know what? Because they're gonna get mad at me if you don't do your Spanish right. So I did that Spanish flawlessly. And literally, I walk out into the audience. They're giving me hugs. They're so welcoming. One of them was even like, "Do you even speak Spanish?" Like, that was so amazing. And I was like, "No, I speak Creole." And they were like, "Wow, I'm a no sabo." And like, literally, you speak Spanish better than I do. And I was like, and then I kept getting notes, and I got notes from her family because we were doing like this thing where they would write notes for the actors and whatnot. And they told me that I was now a certified Puerto Rican. So
all right,
I feel so accomplished. The show was great. And now...
So you can add the Puerto Rican flag to your arsenal of things that you got in your wall.
But you know what? A new revelation that's come out from the show is that I just need to be proud of who I am, regardless. And the fact that, I was able to inspire and move the hearts of the people who are in the audience whenever I got to perform. And that's something that not that many people get to do. And I'm very honored that I get to go out with my senior year doing something like that. So I think I'm going to focus like my next few months as I transition into college on being prideful of being a Haitian, and connecting with my fellow Haitians in that way. So I can be true to my nature in that.
Cool.
So that's just my little introduction.
Well, we're glad you had a good time.
Yes, and I missed being here. And I haven't been on the show with Rachel or Jamie, even though I've seen them around all the time. But yeah, do you guys, before we get into our big news today, do you guys have anything you want to like introduce with John? Anybody? Go ahead, go for it.
No, in
I
particular.
loved your performance for West Side Story.
Thank you.
amazing.
Thank
It was
you.
very good.
Thank you.
Yes.
I had to go like a little bit manic on stage too, especially during that scene. If you guys saw it, but yeah,
Everybody thought it was actually a mistake because you did it so well. You fell so well. They were like, "Oh,
yeah.
amazing."
Nope, it was all according to plan. Did it every single night. So, but yeah, pulling away from West Side Story, I appreciate you guys' compliment. Is there not anything y'all want to talk about first? Unless you want me to take it over, I can run this whole show if you need me to.
I will talk about the Virgin Galactic company. So this company is actually going to start. Actually, you want to do the intro?
Oh yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
here we go.
All right, here you
Missed
go.
this. I
And
missed
now,
this.
with the science report, Jamie. All right, take it away, Jamie.
Okay, so this new company, it's actually a public company, the first public company to launch kind of astronaut in training people who like aspire to be astronauts into space, and they will do a 90-minute trip around Earth. Okay. And they'll have like preparations and stuff for when they go into space. And one of the things that stood out to me, which was actually the header of the article, was want to go into space for $450,000. Now, that is a whole ton of money, and the fee just to add like get your name on the list is $250,000.
Wow, $250,000. Okay.
Yes, to get your name on the list, and the fee, which is non-refundable, is $25,000. So no matter what, $25,000. If you make the commitment, you have to pay it.
Yeah.
That's the first thing.
Yeah.
Kind of like a down payment for a car, stuff like that.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So this company was founded by Sir Richard Branson.
Mhm.
Very good.
Mhm.
And it's actually very unique because he's not only public, or he's an entrepreneur,
Mhm.
but competitors Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk were the first people to send out a private, or like have their own spaceships go into space and do the Earth around once. So actually, again, Sir Richard Branson is the first public and actually have people there. So that's really exciting. And what's interesting is their profit, actually, their sales were 2.8 million. I think we're already just having like reservations and stuff,
Mhm.
and their total what can I say? So the money that they're losing, they recently decreased it from 92 million a year to 48 million.
All right. So they cut no losses in half. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Mhm.
So that's interesting.
Mhm.
And yeah, there's just a bunch of programs to get the astronauts ready. They really think it's going to affect the astronaut community very much so. And I mean, I know it's like it is very expensive, but now these people have opportunities to actually go in space and realize their careers and stuff, and just also take pictures and videos and actually show other people like this is what space is, and maybe could develop some new theories that could go along with it. So that's what I found interesting on the article.
Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
So when are you signing up?
Yeah, you seem very interested.
Yeah, you
in
can have a
space.
fundraiser,
Yeah.
right? Have a GoFundMe page,
Yeah.
right?
I think I would actually do it. Also they're gonna do launches 2 times per month. That's what they're planning on doing.
Wow, wait a minute. 2 times per month. Where do they have like a plan in place for like the fuel, the resources, the materials?
I think they're launching off of New Mexico.
Mhm.
Oh, of course. Anyways, go ahead.
So, I'm probably not going to sign up until I have the money, obviously, but also until it's been proven to be safe
Mhm.
and that they have actually there's a successul company.
Mhm.
So that's
All right.
probably when I would.
So you're taking
do
a
it.
solid wait and see.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
All right.
All right. Well, thank
see
you
what
for
happens.
that. John, do you want to go next?
Well, most of my stuff, I'm just going to give a brief teaser of your stuff, I guess. Since you were talking about
Mhm.
Ukraine, I was going to bring up some stuff that recently happening. You guys know about Anonymous?
No,
Yes.
how dare you steal my story from me?
Okay, no,
Are you?
no.
We'll do it together. We'll do
No,
it together.
no,
We'll do
no,
it
no.
together.
I like,
We're doing it
We'll
together.
do it later.
Yes, we're gonna do it together.
Okay. Oh, okay, that takes a bit of stuff I can talk about then.
Oh.
Okay. Well, this is going to be like one of the weirder things that I've heard in like the times of war. Okay, so like in times of war, past like massive wars like Vietnam and war, you don't have like a cell phone like one I'm holding in my hand, right?
Mhm.
Somebody showed me this and it was like the craziest thing I ever seen. So it was a person in Ukraine, and they were showing people how to operate a tank. So like since
Oh.
Russia was abandoning a lot of their tanks,
Right. On the field training. Yeah.
this lady just posted a video of how to operate a tank and manually like move it and
Mhm.
whatever. I'm
Mhm.
just like, I was mind blown.
Right. Because there's a lot of Russian soldiers that have vacated their vehicles because they didn't realize a lot of them were told that they were on a training mission.
Oh yes, I
Yeah.
heard about that. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That they didn't even know that this was serious war being unleashed on their neighbor.
Oh yeah.
So some of them have friends and family that live there. So they go, not so much.
And this was like I think like the past 2 hours, Russia agreed to create humanitarian corridors, which essentially it's essentially
Allows
they
the Red Cross to come through.
allows the Red
Yeah.
Cross to come in and allows Ukrainians to leave and they won't be attacked. I'm skeptical, but
Right.
yeah,
That's
I
what they
mean,
say.
you're
They said a
waging
lot of
war
things.
against an entire
Right.
country, yet you're allowing them to have. Okay.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Mhm.
Yeah,
Interesting.
so yeah, let's actually dig deep into that because this is actually something that we're going to be using in my anthropology class when it comes time for exams,
Mhm.
since it is a real world example of the concepts that we do study in anthropology, which I think is very interesting. But I was sitting down in class and I was kind of grinding this out as I was preparing my script, and I was like, the biggest question I had in mind is that, Gen Z, we like to take serious things and make humor out of it. And we like to make, so everybody's like, World War III, we're going to war, we're doing this, we're doing that, which is like kind of a scary reality at this point since we don't know where things are leading up to.
Right.
So I did some big research since the question in mind kept being like, is it worth going to war on Putin's behalf? Since, I mean, essentially, if Ukraine gets closer to NATO and if they end up becoming allies and whatnot, essentially, aren't the European countries going to have to stick up for their ally and go to war?
Right.
They can't become a part of NATO because it's at war right now.
Well, can't they still become part of the European Union?
Yes,
Yeah.
that's what I meant. The European
EU.
Union.
Oh, I
Yeah.
thought you
Yes.
meant NATO.
Yes.
It's like
Yes.
you can't become.
No, I did say
okay.
NATO, but I meant the
EU.
they're gonna have allies with those European countries in place,
Mhm.
which is why also the US has sent troops over to the EU as well, I'm pretty
Right.
sure.
Mhm.
So I just look, and the history is actually very, very like integral and it's very deep. And it's
Mhm.
almost like the tension has been building up. And even
Right.
in my classes, we have talked about how there's actually, if you really look at it, they almost say like the Cold War never ended. And
Mhm.
this is all just a big lead up to essentially a possible World War III. So Ukraine used to be a part of Russia, but then they split
Well,
apart.
these used to be part of the Soviet Union.
Yes. Well, I was going to say but they split apart because there was a small civil war that occurred, and then they were taken over by the Soviet Union. And then apparently in 1954, I think it was the leader of Crimea, Nikita Khrushchev. I
Mhm.
can't say any of these
Mhm.
words,
You did it
but
right.
they gave Crimea over to Ukraine in order to strengthen the bond between Russians and Ukrainians. But
Correct.
that didn't do anything since all of them were under the Soviet
Umbrella.
Union.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But then in 1991, the Soviet Union collapsed, which gave both of the countries their independence.
Mhm.
And then, interestingly enough, which I think is very funny, that Ukraine inherited most of the Soviets' nuclear arsenal, but then gave it up to Russia in 1994
Right.
in exchange for security and to have the Russians respect of their freedom and independence.
Right.
Which I think is just like interesting how that's kind of being flipped on its head
Right,
now.
because it's an awesome responsibility to have a nuclear arsenal.
Mhm.
because you have to manage and maintain it,
Mhm.
and it's also extremely expensive. So if you're a fledgling company or country and just trying to get started, the last thing you need is a big
All these nukes.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's just a monumental expense.
Oh yeah.
So so that was and was a legitimate, seriously good reason, and they to get rid of this stuff.
Oh no, of course. But then now in hindsight, it's
Right.
like now Putin's using that to threaten anybody who gets involved, right?
About Belarus asking for like permission to set up like nuclear defense because it
Mm.
was
So
supposedly
the problem with Belarus is
Mhm.
everything they say you have to take with a grain of salt,
Yeah,
because
'cause
they're
Interesting.
a puppet government that was set up by Russia. So
Mm.
they're not. It's not.
yeah,
It's the Belarus label, but it's
Yeah,
the Russian people
essentially.
speaking. Right.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So now they say in November 2013, the former like president of Ukraine, I think was Viktor Yanzikov. I do not know how to say
Right.
his name,
Yeah.
but he
Close
was
enough.
but he was known for being corrupt
Yes.
and pro Russia, and hence he actually rejected the European Union trade deal, which would have led to greater integration into basically NATO and having those ties
Right.
and whatnot. And then this actually made a lot of protests break out,
Right.
and it was
they ran them
so-
out.
Yes, exactly. Which and
Mhm.
he actually, I think he went to Russia, in fact.
Mhm,
And then
mhm.
after this, in response to that, I think Moscow annexed Crimea, which I was like,
Yeah.
don't really know what that means, but
Annex means they basically took it away.
yeah,
They folded it under their Russian
yeah.
umbrella.
And then they slowly began to occupy the land.
Correct.
And then they say that in March of the same year, which was 2014,
Mhm.
Crimea actually voted to become a part of Russia. But then the controversy lies in whether or not there was integrity to those votes and that decision overall,
Correct.
which is like, ooh, right?
Right.
So currently, Ukraine itself is divided between the West that sees itself more as European and the East that sees itself more as Russia.
Right.
And I think there was even news floating around that the West side had actually attacked some parts of. You okay over there?
Yeah, I'm
Some
good.
parts of the eastern side of Ukraine
Mhm.
because of them being deemed as like a rebel group, and
Mhm.
how they're like denying acts of genocide and things like that.
Right.
Lots of craziness and divide floating
Mhm,
around.
mhm.
So currently Russia has entered Ukraine as well, and I think their biggest target is Kiev,
Correct.
which is the capital, right?
Correct.
So
They're in the process of encircling, but there
Yeah.
is a convoy that's stalled outside of
oh
the
really?
city.
Okay.
It's about 40 miles long,
Mhm, and
17 miles from the city,
Oh my
and
goodness.
it's just been there for 3 days. So
Oh.
so the reports are, and again, this is under the fog of war, so these are just the reports.
Mhm.
The reports are that the soldiers in that convoy are asking for food and fuel, and that's why they're just stalled there. And they may have not. So, and again, there are soldiers that didn't even know that they were running a campaign against another country. They thought they were just doing an exercise.
Mhm.
So
Interesting.
yeah, so there's a lot of them that have abandoned their vehicles. There was one soldier, Russian soldier,
Mhm.
who was texting his mom
Oh.
in Russia,
Mhm.
and he said, "Mom, I didn't know we were at war. I thought we were in the middle of an exercise."
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, wow. So and then he ended up getting
Yeah.
killed too.
And so that begs the question of like, what does Putin want? Like why is he
He
expanding?
wants to restore the original glory of the Soviet Union.
Exactly.
Yes.
And
Mhm.
in fact,
Yes,
furthermore,
he's
he
kind of a
wants-
romanticist in that sense.
Oh, that's an interesting word.
Yes.
Okay.
Because he is reaching for those glory days of yesteryear.
Wow.
What he views.
Yes, that is what they say.
Mhm.
Yes, because he basically wants, and I think it's interesting because as I was doing research, they were saying that he wants NATO to stop expanding
Right.
into former Soviet states. So
Right.
which is so he can have the opportunity to take him over, and he wants
Right.
to more go back to that Russia and the Soviet ideal and whatnot.
Right.
But I think it's interesting. But the most funny, I think it's not funny, but I just think it's just, I don't know how to describe it. I just think it's, other than interesting, I just think it's like funny to see how like all these world leaders are coming out, like the ways that Ukraine is getting support. I think
Mhm.
is something that has not been seen before in our history.
So what happens is it's a little bit like the tail wagging the dog.
Tail wagging the dog.
Right. So this past weekend there was a big protest being scheduled in Germany. Okay. In protest that was in support of the Ukrainians. Okay. They're expecting about 20,000 people. 500,000 people showed up. Yeah, good
Wow.
night. That was a mic drop moment for the governing people there in Germany. They said, we better listen to our democratically, constituents here, which don't like our current position because their position was hands off. We're
Mhm.
not going to do anything. And they said, yeah, no, I think we're going to help because, well, first of all, it's the right thing to do. Second of
Oh,
all, this is
yeah.
what the people
Oh,
in their
yeah.
communities want them to do.
And
So,
that's also how like most countries came for their independence. That's
mhm,
I saw like a
mhm.
speech of how like America should be doing something. Well, whether we should or should not be doing is your your own
Right,
opinion. But
right.
this person, I don't remember who was saying the speech, but they were saying because America was built on the same principle of being free and
Mhm.
holding that independence and honoring that.
Right.
So they should be able to do the same.
And
for
that's
other
the whole
countries.
idea about
Yeah.
the EU.
Mm-hmm.
And the whole purpose of standing up the EU and NATO
Yep.
was to be a pushback force because of exactly what people visioned that Russia could be capable of doing
Oh,
what they're
yeah.
doing right now.
Oh, yeah.
So people back in the 50s already understood this, the late 40s in the 50s forward. They knew that this was a juggernaut that, if not checked.
Oh, yeah, it's gonna go out of control.
Correct.
Mm-hmm. Totally.
So, and NATO is not going to take territory away from Russia.
Mm-hmm.
But if people want to be free and
They should be free.
they should be able to live in a free society. And that's NATO is, and the EU is just there to support that.
Yep.
So they kind of had an ambiguous understanding with Ukraine because they didn't want to cheese off Russia. And they also wanted to encourage the freedom-loving Ukrainians, right? Who there was graft, there was fraud, there was a lot of stuff going on in Ukraine, which is not good.
Yeah.
But they figured they would grow through that, and then people would ultimately have a more balanced democratic society. That was the end game, right?
Yep. The intention.
Right. So you have a government there that was that they had puppet governments that were there. They were pro-Russian.
Russia, yep.
They got run out of town because the people wanted more freedoms.
Mm-hmm.
They had a guy who used to be a comedian, became their president.
Never heard of that one before.
That is the current president right now in Ukraine.
Oh, wow.
And he's shown a spine, but he's also freedom loving, and he just wants the people of his country to be able to be in charge of their own destiny.
Of course. And I think that's a perfect way to leave off as we go to break.
Right.
So we'll come back and we'll wrap this story up as the next part involves John and I covering the other ways Ukraine has gained support. So stay tuned for that.
All right. We'll be right back, so stick with us. Hello. How you doing?
You wanna know why?
We got 2 minutes and 20 seconds.
Anime, I was raised
Yeah. Did you like it?
okay. Now it's kind of low key traumatizing for me to watch.
All right, bud. So stand by. We got 2 minutes, 11 seconds. We'll be right back.
I love ghost stories. Hey, I'm gonna film. Hello, welcome back, and apparently we have a caller on the line. Hello.
Hey, yes.
Hi, what's up, Mr. Bob? Long time no talk.
I know. I tell you, I heard great reviews about your performance.
No way, you did?
Yeah, just a couple minutes ago by you.
Oh, I do. We need to do a better job of talking ourselves up, so thank you.
You get to Broadway where the real West Side Story is, not the West Side of Hutchinson Island.
That's what I'm saying.
you can't write your own critical reviews. But I'm sure you're very good at it. I don't know about this. Had to have black power coming out of all this stuff.
Listen, so that's what I'm wondering too. And when I told my dad was like, "What do Black Lives Matter have to do with your performance?" And I was like, I don't know, maybe because I am literally the only dark-skinned woman that was being assaulted. So I don't know. And like people were making like Snapchats, but I will tell you, they were being racist to me because there was like pictures floating around and they were calling me Jemima. So that wasn't okay, but I don't know. I think everything is just always a race thing nowadays.
She makes great pancakes, but no.
That's what I'm saying, but I don't know. I think it's just something that you really can't get away from. So
no, I'm sure you were great, and but you can write your own reviews. And well, we just had Black History Month. Maybe that's now it's Women's History Month.
Mm-hmm. You know what my teacher said?
And then, wait, in April, we have White Men's Appreciation Moment coming up.
Wait, that's actually a thing?
A moment. Just a moment.
Yeah, just a moment.
April 4th, it's from 12:01 a.m. to 12:01 a.m.
Right.
I set my alarm
if you blink, you miss it. Yes.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, but I knew where you were. I knew you were busy doing your show over there, and I'm glad, and I have no doubt you put out everything you had.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. Yes, but you know what? It's nothing like being in the studio though. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Do
I
you-
remember my first time years ago. I mean, okay, now let's get pithy here because Frank wants me to be pithy.
Yes.
What?
Pithy. You know what?
State of the
No, what
US
is that?
Look it up. Google it.
Ah.
Pithy is a good word. That should be one of your words of the day.
Okay. All right.
It sounds like some Richard Simmons would say, but
Yes.
it's actually
Yes.
a good thing.
Yes.
No, the State of the USS Soviet Union address.
Mm-hmm.
I usually write down a ton of stuff for these things,
Yes.
but I didn't see a whole lot. I mean, the Emperor Uncle Joe
Uncle Joe.
has no clothes, and you guys are probably too young to know this. Frank does. It's a fable about an emperor whose all his subjects failed him and told him everything he did was great. And I think that's what's happening with Joe. Joe thinks he's doing a great job, but the emperor went to do a parade before his people naked, which is a very old fable, which is kind of weird for that. But everybody told him how wonderful he looked because they were scared of him. And I think Joe's people are just telling him that he's doing a great job. And, Biden's a lifetime politician. I mean, literally, he never did anything else that I know of. Maybe working as a kid somewhere, but little effort that he's put in over all these years. Every night he took home Amtrak, the failing subsidized U.S. track from D.C. back to Delaware,
Right.
and spent the night in the bar. And but it was funny, the Chameleon Harris and Nancy Pelosi. I mean, they were giving them kind of dirty looks because they're worried about the midterms, I guess. But Pelosi, she's had so much work done. I tell you, she looked younger than Chameleon Harris does.
Yeah.
She really didn't. She only finally looked comfortable after so many States of the Unions where she tore up the pages and did everything else.
Right.
And, there wasn't much I could write down about it. I mean, Joe thinks he's doing a great job. He doesn't do the work. He's a lifetime politician. They tell him the talking points, and he believes everything they're telling him, that everything's fine.
Well, I understand that the Pinocchio list on the for the fact checkers was so long they just kind of threw up their arms.
It was. I was hoping to write down a lot more, but there wasn't a lot more to say. And I think he spent more time hanging around after the speech because he thought he was doing such a great job, and everybody, kissing his, what.
Right.
But that's it. That's my pithy comment. And congratulations, No. I have a lot of faith in whatever you do.
Thank you, and I appreciate your comment. Opinions are always appreciated
I like
here.
your friends there too.
Oh yeah, they're amazing. They'll be taking over me when I leave.
Yeah.
I only have 2 more months left.
No's entourage. Right?
Yeah, my entourage.
Okay.
All right, guys.
Very good.
You have a
Bye.
great rest
Enjoy the rest of your week.
And we'll see what goes on. They were blasting the sirens here, but from the nuke plant. And,
good. Something to look forward to.
Today.
Yeah.
I was hoping it was only for a test, which it was.
Good. All right. Well,
Bye.
if we see any glowing in the distance, we'll know something happened. Okay.
No.
Very good. All right.
Bye.
Thanks, Bob.
All right. So let's get into wrapping this whole Ukraine and war news up. So the crazy ways that Ukraine has gained support. First off, Elon Musk apparently activated Starlink, which is something
We sent him a bunch of Starlink satellite dishes.
Which has about 145,000 users in 25 different countries as of January this year. And these satellites, they operate in low Earth orbit, and they provide continuous coverage, allowing for fast download and upload speeds. And then he's like you said, shipped them over to Ukraine, and now they're able to remain online, which is crazy.
Right.
And then as John further foreshadowed earlier today, something about Anonymous.
Oh yeah. Tell us what is Anonymous, John?
Yes, my favorite group ever.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
John,
I
literally
have
take
stuff
it
that
over.
you don't know, so you go.
Well, obviously, they're just a hacker group, which
Really?
Yeah, no,
Okay.
they're I think they're kind of terrifying, honestly.
Mhm.
So they
Um,
in the way they have literally
Right.
declared war, cyber war on Russia
Yes.
is insane.
Right.
How? Okay, I can't even wrap my mind around that.
Right.
How can I just be like,
They are like the ultimate hack group.
yes, it like they're
Yes.
made of all these brilliant minds, like
Mhm.
just code upon code that they
Mhm.
understand. And then can you imagine having that much power to be able to declare cyber war?
Mm.
Come on.
Yeah.
Come on. And
But
like
so Russia has the power to affect, everything that we do here electronically,
mhm.
cyber war. And if it ever gets to that, it's gonna get ugly.
Oh no, of
Yeah,
course. But
yeah.
they're the ones who declared it
Correct.
first.
I mean, if
Correct.
we're
And the
talking
biggest
about
thing,
that,
but like the biggest thing that they brought down websites, government websites.
Right.
They're carrying out DOS attacks. They hacked the military of defense database, and they also hacked Russian TV channels. Like, come on.
Yeah.
But I mean, what do you have? Obviously, you said I have stuff
okay,
that
I'm just going to give a brief counterpoint to that. So, the main hacker groups, at least from my knowledge, are US, Russia, and China.
Mhm.
So, on the BBC, I saw supposedly a group of Russian hackers are supposedly attacking Ukraine with hacks. Other than that, I was going to talk about. Did you see the declaration video from Anonymous, like how they were declaring war on
I
Russia?
did not see the video. I saw the tweet though.
Okay, so they set up a video. It's like most groups, like it's like how they usually do. It's like we are anonymous. Da,
yeah.
da, da. Mr. Putin, you have essentially demonstrated. Da, da, da. Yeah, just
Poor
essentially
judgment. Yeah. Yeah.
poor judgment.
Yeah.
Declaring wars on millions, and it's like we are anonymous. We are everywhere. Okay, so what they wear is a
Yeah.
Guy Fawkes mask. You know what it is?
Yeah. It's very weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh,
No,
yeah,
it's not
really
weird.
unsettling.
Yeah.
No, it is not weird. Okay. So, you were talking about anonymous. What do you think the name means? It means you're
Yeah, you don't
you
know.
you
who
don't
they
know.
Are.
You don't know who
Yeah.
they are. Okay.
Right. Mhm.
So this is one of my favorite ones. So this is actually based off a real person. Yeah, Guy Fawkes. So essentially he was involved in the gunpowder plot of 1605. It was a treason event against King James I, and it was essentially a group of English Catholics trying to restore Catholic monarchy to England. They failed. He died.
Mm.
But here's the important part. The thing was, you can kill a person, you can't kill an idea.
Correct.
So pair that with
Man.
anonymous. You can kill whoever you want, but there's always going to be the idea remaining. And as long as the idea is still there,
And this
Who
is
Yeah.
knows what
basically-
power it holds?
Right. And this is essentially what the Ukrainians are saying, that you can take our country, but you can't take us.
Yeah.
It's
So
essentially that same thing.
wow. Well, what a note to leave off on as
Right.
we're going to break once more. But that's our wrap up of this whole entire Ukraine thing. Stay safe out there. Hopefully that we won't have World War III on our hands.
And now,
Hey, Rocky!
And
Watch
there we
me
go.
pull a rabbit out of my hat.
again,
Nothing up my sleeve. Presto!
wrong hat.
I take a 7.5.
Now here's something we hope you'll really like.
Hello, we're back. And just to end off these last few minutes here, I actually have a very important question that I'm going to direct at Rachel since you haven't spoken at all this whole entire show. So, in today's society, can those who do not go to college be successful? Rachel, you're up.
Yeah, most definitely. Like, my dad, he does not have a college diploma, and he is, I'd consider very successful.
Okay.
And if you're talking strictly about like university and state college and stuff, you can also go to like trade schools and still be
No, of
successful.
course. I mean, let me rephrase the question. If you don't have school in mind, any form of school or outside education, outside of graduation, can you actually be successful?
Yes, in some means.
Okay. But yeah, of course.
I don't
Go
think
ahead.
Success is defined as I have a diploma. I think it's where you feel happy in your life, whether it's being the most rich person, whether you're the most happy, whether it's where you want to be too. It's like if your dream was to travel to England, and you can't say that you have a college diploma, but you're still happy and you think you have success. Success is actually, I think it's subjective. I don't think success has a real definition. So I feel like if you are if you're happy and you feel that you're successful, that you are successful.
Period. Let's go. But you know, as much as I appreciate that comment, I think the way we should view success, at least from my own personal opinion, is just like having goals in mind. And so the reason why I bring this up is that, you know, obviously we know I'm graduating soon along with a lot of my peers, and what I keep hearing is that a lot of people are saying, oh, I'm not going to go to college. I'm not going to pursue any type of schooling outside of graduation or anything like that. And my main area of concern is the fact that they don't really have a plan in mind. Like, I have one friend who told me that he was not going to go to college. And I said, okay, so what are you going to do instead? He said, like, as you mentioned, which I'm happy you mentioned, he's going to go to a trade school and do water lodging. Is that what it's called? Water ledging? Are you guys familiar with this job? Water ledging? I don't know. Is you go into water and you like take the pressure of something? I don't know, but apparently you make like a whole lot of money a year.
Okay. All right.
And hence this, but a job like that is more experience based rather than, you know, what
It's training.
yeah, it's training. So I mean, in cases like that, sure. Or like I have another friend who said that she's mainly gonna go to IRSC since it's free for her, and she's gonna get a degree, you know, her associates, try to start a business, and then see where that leads her in life.
Yeah.
Fair.
Yeah.
But you know, there's a lot of other kids that like who tell me this, and then they just don't have a vision in mind. They don't have a plan. They don't have a job secured afterwards. Nothing. And then that makes me think, sure, success is subjective, but how can you be successful if you don't even know what you're going after? If you don't have a plan or a goal in mind, what is the dream to chase if you're not dreaming at all? You know what I mean? So I just wanted to see if maybe I'm not crazy for thinking this, but I mean, our world is changing. We just talked about how there's war that might be coming up our head.
They are handing out.
Yeah.
They're handing out rifle Kalashnikovs, they're called.
Jeez.
These Russian rifles to women and men,
Yeah.
able-bodied people, anybody.
Yep.
And by the way, the president of Ukraine said to anybody that's in prison, if you will get full amnesty if you want to come out and fight.
Wow. Jeez.
All right.
Well, there you go with that, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then you also have things such as like, you know, social conflicts such as like racism, poverty, gender inequality. We have things such as cryptocurrency and stocks that are changing the way our economy is going to be run. You know, the way money and business, how normal jobs are going to be like handled. You know, because we're always going to need lawyers, we're always going to need doctors, we're always going to need pharmacists, things like this. But you know, the hard manual labor stuff, the jobs that people get when they're just starting out.
So can I tell you a little something about Elon Musk and what he says about this?
Sure, go ahead.
There's some very profound stuff he's been talking about recently.
Go ahead.
So he's developed these robots, right? And I don't know if it's through Tesla or SpaceX, but he is actually going to be spending most of this year developing these robots because he believes these are android, look like, semi-autonomous, like people, right? And the whole idea is that there's just not enough people to do jobs, mundane jobs, regular jobs. So he's going to be building robots to replace people.
And I have an answer for that.
Go.
Because that's actually like my next point. It was also
Mhm,
social media and technology. If everybody's if everybody's too busy getting famous off of TikTok
Right.
for dumb things or things that aren't important,
Right.
who is actually going to show up to do those jobs?
Right.
And then before we know it, we're being replaced. And oops, you didn't have a plan after you graduated.
Yeah.
Hence, you lucked out, buddy. You didn't get the job that everybody needs 100%, such as a doctor, lawyer, engineer, this and that. And then now you can't even get the job that you would have gotten even if you didn't have that in mind, which is like,
Yeah.
uh-oh. And you know what? Life happens as well. Businesses shut down, people
Mhm.
move on,
Mhm.
things change. And then not having a plan afterwards, I think, is very concerning.
And I
Right.
feel like you're lost at that point. You
Oh,
you
yeah.
don't have a stance on anything. You're kind of just existing.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
So what do you guys feel about universal basic income?
Universal basic income.
Yes.
What does this mean?
Well, let's break it down. Universal means for everybody.
Okay.
Everybody gets money.
So like a
Universal basic income. So they would just say, okay, the robots are going to do all the work. You can sit at home and ruminate and think about things that you want to do your TikTok or YouTube videos, and we'll pay you to stay home.
So has everybody seen Wall-E here? The movie with the little robot? And then there's that really disturbing scene where you have all the fat people in the floating chairs and how they have robots take care of them.
Yeah.
That's what comes to mind. And I don't
Mhm.
want that.
Right. Yeah. So we need to, as a culture, we need to make some hard decisions.
As much as I hate adversity and stress and school and
But
things that
that's
make
how
me
you
work
grow.
hard.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's at that point we're probably degressing.
Mhm.
because
Oh, yeah.
we're not learning anything. We're not cognitive
yeah.
thinking and
Mhm.
practicing, which is why we have school.
Critical
So,
thinking.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You need those who can come out on top when there is adversity. You need those stars. You need the gifted, I should say, in order to pave the way for tomorrow.
Mhm.
And if nobody's given the opportunity to struggle or
Right.
to come out on top, how is that ever going to happen? That's why they say, like, it's awful. It really is terrible. But they say that, like, bullying is natural selection. It's horrible.
Yeah.
It is so horrible. But those who have been bullied, those who have struggled, do come out on top. And most importantly, we have a caller on the line.
Go ahead. You're on our newsmaker line.
Hi, it's Pat.
Hi.
Welcome back, No.
Thank you. Nice to hear you.
Nice to hear you. So I'm kind of following this whole conversation and debate about robots and technology.
Mhm.
There's another component to it, which is the mental problems that we're having, issues that we're having with everyone being wild
Whoops.
instead of being engaged with planet Earth.
Mhm.
So you've got to kind of balance that out because we're having entirely too many mental issues for the way we've designed society today, and the amounts of stress and lack of social communicating on Facebook or TikTok or Twitter or whatever medium, Twitch, whatever you're on, is not actually talking to someone and holding their hand and looking them in the eye.
Oh yeah.
And so we're going to have to deal with factoring and pulling that back in. I got a trivial question. This far through the year, have you picked a place that you're planning on going?
I don't know. Actually, I'm in the state of limbo. So I got accepted into the University of Florida, and then I got accepted into the University of Central Florida. And because of Bright Futures, I will most likely not have to pay money to go to those schools.
Right.
But then you have the Ivy Leagues that come out in April. Since I was deferred from Columbia, I'm still waiting on those decisions and whatnot. But everything is so like, where are we gonna go? But I can say, I mean, right now I can say that if worse comes, like not worse, but like at the end of the day, if the Ivies don't work out or any of the other out of state schools work out, University of Florida is my pick.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
That sounds good.
Yeah.
As a measurement for success, there are 4 states of existence or non-existence, and that is progression, regression, stagnation, or death. So as long as you're progressing and you lead a life that's happy and fulfilling to you, and in the end have a legacy where you are remembered by others as someone that was fulfilled in their life and left some traits or characteristics or goodies for everybody else in a manner where everyone's like, oh, I learned so much from that person, or they made me feel good, or whatever. I would sum that all up as success. As long as you're progressing and you end up with that as an end result, that to me is success.
Wow. That's so powerful. And really quickly before we go, where can I learn more? But you said the four measures of success. It was progression, stagnation.
Right. So there's progression, regression, stagnation, which means you're not doing anything. You're in a state of limbo. You're not moving forward or backwards. And then death, which means you're not doing anything.
Right.
I actually wrote that down in a book.
Wow. That is so powerful. I love that.
All right.
Hopefully next show, call in and tell me your book so I can buy it. Please.
Fair enough.
All right. Thank you. It's so good to hear
You're
from
welcome.
you. Thanks
Great
for always
to hear
calling in. And to everybody else out there, happy Thursday. And we'll see you on the flip side. Bye-bye.